Hey guys, what's up everybody? I hope you're doing good during that crazy Corona time and you use the, let's call it free time we have now to produce some more music and to do some education or whatever to get better into this kind of music. So yeah, what I'm going to talk about in this video is stem mastering. So I did a mastering for an artist who's called BLILI, and hopefully I do pronounce the name correctly. BLILI, yeah. And I think I will put his social media stuff in the video description so you can check him out. And yeah, I want to show you a little bit what I've done here in the project so you can learn something to avoid this kind of mistakes. I wouldn't call them mistakes, but small mistakes in your project. So it started with the guy sent me a master file, and I've listened to the track and I asked him to send me stems because I had the feeling that the relation and the timing between kick and bass, like rumble and techno, were not like I wanted to have them, or I would like to have them, at least in my tracks. And so this is why I asked him to send me stems instead of the full not the full master, like the export of the full track. And yeah, so and the result is what we have in front of me, and let's go into the session. So let's start with a short before and after, so you know what we are going to do here. The one here at the top, let's make it green, is our before, and the stuff below is our after, which is the master track in the end. So let's go with before. So I think you can hear a big difference, especially in the top end. And this is what I'm going to talk about next. But first, I want to start with the low end. So we have a group here with some group processing. I have deleted or switched off some of the plugins I don't need. So yeah, so it's easier. So we have the kick drum, which sounds like this. And yeah, I did just some small EQing, took out 3 dB of the boxy frequency, which is always annoying for me, but I think the artist BLILI cared already about that frequency, so it's just a tiny bit in there. It's not too crazy. It's just my feeling to make it a little bit cleaner in that area. Let me switch that off and on so you can hear what is going on. So we have a lot of latency going on here in that project. So what you see is not what you hear. Maybe I can switch this during when I cut the video, so maybe it's not that annoying for you when you watch this video. But for me, I have like almost 2 seconds or 1 second of latency because of ozone on the master and all the crazy mastering mixing stuff which is in here. So anyhow, it's just a tiny bit taking down this kind of boxy frequency. And then we have a UAD compressor, which is the 1176. And it's pretty useful. A friend told me that you can use it for a lot of stuff, also on vocals. I mean, I'm using it for this vocal recording, actually. And yeah, but you can also use it on kick drums or also different compressors, but I have this one and it sounds great, so I'm using that one. And what you can do with it, you can change the relation between the transient of the kick drum and then the tail, and it is pretty useful to change a little bit the balance between the beginning of the kick and like the end, because when you open this kick, you can see here it is in this part it's quieter than in this part, so it looks like it's a sample which is made of 2 kick drums. This happens a lot, and what you can do here, for example, because this is difficult in the end, and with compression we try to find a sweet spot to make this part a little bit louder and this part a little bit quieter, and this is what is going on here with this UAD compressor. So let me show you that. So it's still a little bit like sounding like 2 kick drums, like ba-bum, 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 but just a little bit less with the compressor. So yeah, I don't want to change the kick drum of the artist that much, but it is helpful. And then we have this crazy stuff, which is a little bit of reverb on top of the kick drum. It's almost not noticeable. My friend Daniel, who's I don't know, he's crazy in when we talk about mixing and stuff. And he came to the studio when I made the mastering of the track, and he was adding some stuff, especially this one. And the reverb is like gluing together the kick with the rest of the track a tiny bit. We can check that later maybe, but it is just like almost not noticeable, but it is there, and in the end it feels a little bit more like everything is working more together. If we do a blind test, let's try a blind test. I can tell you, hopefully, if it is on or off, and it means it is changing something, and it feels like the kick and the acid line are working a little bit better together with this effect switched on. So let's go. So I'm going to close my eyes, and then I hit this on and off button a few times, so I don't know if it is on or off, and then I will tell you, is it on or is it not? Hopefully without cutting the video after. No, I will not cheat, I promise. So let's go. So now it's on. Let's open the eyes. Yes, it is. Woo! Okay, so you can try this as well. If you do this kind of stuff, if you do mixing or whatever, sometimes just close your eyes and switch it on and off, and then try to find out, is it noticeable and is it necessary? And if not, then just delete it. So anyhow, this is what is done on the kick drum. And then we have the rumble. I have changed nothing, almost nothing. I've just added an LFO tool with a custom shape here, and did a little bit of ducking of the rumble, and so just 30% to make sure to have enough space for the kick drum, because this is what I had the feeling when I first listened to the track, that the kick and the rumble are not working together like I would like to have it. And I think the easiest way to achieve this is of course side chaining, and it's also compression and EQing. But in this case I just did side chaining. I think I did a little bit. I tried to cut it, but in the end I switched that one off, so it's fine like this. Because honestly, I did a first version, and BLILI complained because the version was too clean for him. So I think this is a good sign because the version was, I don't know. I've not heard that before. The mix is too clean. No, but he sent me a demo from Fluke, and so I changed a little bit of the stuff. So for example, I did not cut the frequency from the rumble, so it's a little bit more, let's call it dirty. The opposite of clean, of course. So let's go for that one here. This is also just a tiny bit, but with the LFO2 you can really have the feeling, you really feel that kick drum, and then there is the rumble, and it's not just one muddy kind of just bass. So I like to have this really pumping and punchy, and so it needs to be a little bit in control, and this is what the LFO tool is doing here. So then we have some stuff going on the group. So just a utility to make it a little bit louder, because I don't know why. And then we have the EQ, which is doing almost nothing, but it is rolling off a little bit of the very low frequencies. Let me show you that. This is a really interesting effect, which I also found out a long time ago, but I did not remember it. And Daniel was telling me that this is a nice effect, and I was just remembering it again, that it is adding punch somehow to the kick. So when you switch this on and off, especially the subwoofer below the table is moving a little bit more precise, a little bit more straight and punchy, and when you turn it off, it's more like washed out. I don't know how to explain this, so let me A/B that. So this is pretty obvious to hear for me, hopefully for you as well. So with the FAB filter and just the cut here on the frequency, which is almost not there, it is adding like punchiness. And this is a nice trick. It does not work always, honestly, but it works most of the time. So you can try that, find a sweet spot, which is usually somewhere between 30 and 10 hertz, so pretty low. And then, you can try to make your kick drums a little bit more punchy, a little bit more, precise. And then we have the pull tag. And the pull tag is just on the chain because it's nice, honestly. Because I have it. It sounds great. You just put it on there, in there. You can, of course, I in the last time I've tried to turn the knobs and find a little bit more, like, I don't know, change the sound, but I don't want to change the sound that much here. And it's just making it, adding a little bit of color coming from the pull tag. And it's getting a little bit louder, honestly. So let's switch this on and off. And then we have a limiter, which I use pretty often. The Ableton limiter, I don't like it for mastering on the master bus, but I like it to glue stuff together. But just be careful, don't hit it too hard, don't use it too hot, because when you get above 6 decibel here, like a gain reduction, then it's sounding like shit. So usually I use 1 or 2. And that's everything for the bass and the kick. So let's close that one. Then we have, that one is just a recording, honestly, from the bass and the kick, because let's check that one pretty fast. Yeah, this is the bass and the kick before BLILI was asking me to change it and make it a little bit more, let's call it muddy. And yeah, but it's a recording because at home I don't have the Apollo, and so I can't use the UAD plugin. So when I leave the studio, I have to resample some of the tracks where I'm using the UAD plugins. It's a little bit annoying, but I think I'm going to buy a new Apollo here for the studio, a bigger one, and then I can take the small one with me and use it at home. And then we have drums. We have drums old and we have drums new. The difference is when I did the mixing on the drums, and as I told you, my friend Daniel came in and he was like telling me, yeah, you did the mixing, like you boosted the top end, which is okay, but you boosted a lot the room information, like the reverb and the drum room. And he was totally right. So I asked the client to send me the drums dry, and I did the mixing again with dry drums. So let me first show you what I did in the first attempt. And now it sounds like this. So we have, a lot less room information, and let's turn all the stuff off here, and let's use a part where most of the drums are playing, hopefully all of them. So this is how he made the drums, and they're a little bit dull, and they're just missing some top frequencies. And in the end, I've added some, I like the TG mastering chain, and in this case, I used it to boost a little bit the top end. And then the Abbey Road, which I've been talking about that one. I just bought it because of Black Friday, but I really like it to use it to add some overtones to the top end. You have to be pretty careful with that one because it sounds a little bit harsh when you use it too much, but you can dial in here the mix and the blend, and then just use it to add some tops to the top end, if that makes sense. So let's check this out with the mastering equalizer here. So it's a little bit of top end. It's just a tiny bit, but this is mastering. Of course, we're doing a lot of small steps to make it in the end. Hopefully not a big step, but a nice result. So it's not like turning like 10 dB of boosting something. So it's just small steps, as I mentioned. And then we have that one. Okay, it's not so easy to compare because the utility is taking down a little bit too much gain, but it is a little bit higher and a little bit quieter in the end. Then we have the FAB filter to cut a lot of stuff out here, like dynamically and constantly. So let's check the FAB filter here in the part where all the percussions are playing. So the FAB filter is just taking down some unwanted frequencies, some resonances to make it a little bit smoother. So in the end, when we make it loud, it's not too annoying. I use my Yamaha NS10s to check this kind of stuff, because for this they are really useful, because when you make them super loud, you really have the feeling that it hurts in the ears when there's something in which shouldn't be there. And anyhow, so this is just like taking down really small bands of stuff dynamically and constantly. So yeah, the next one is the compressor, to compress a little bit. And it adds a little bit of gain here, which is honestly not that good. I should have changed the makeup gain anyhow. So then we have a utility for whatever, just to make it louder. And then we have this rack here, which is the Gullfoss. And Gullfoss is just working here on the really top end to do some cleaning, let's call it cleaning of the drums. Yeah, with Gullfoss it sounds a little bit fuller. Everything is closer to each other, so like the frequencies are coming more together, so it sounds more even, and in the end a little bit more balanced. And yeah, as mentioned before, with this kind of sound I'm able to make it in the end a little bit louder without hurting my ears. And then we have another FAB filter, which is just taking down a little bit of the top end. I don't know why. I think in the end, when I used tonal balance control and did the final check of the track, I found out that the very top end is a little bit too loud, so I took that down a tiny bit. So it's not that high in with this one. And then we have Endless Smile, which is something which is not necessary for mixing, because when he sent me the stems, he had some automation on the reverb of the drum room for washing the drums out. And yeah, as I told you, I asked him to send me the tracks without the reverb, so I had to replace this kind of effect, and I was using Endless Smile. It's a nice plugin from Data Life, which you can use to make this kind of washout and reverbic and build up effects. Yeah, so these are the drums basically, and then we have the synths here. Let me switch that one on. I think I should have taken one of this annoying like ringing frequency more out, like I think it should be like this. So what I want to say here is be careful with this kind of sounds, because they're really biting. They're like, when you make them very loud, it is too crazy. I know you want to have this kind of distorting, crazy, dirty sound, but try to make it not that harsh, because when I switch this off here, like this one and this one. And then I turn my volume knob super loud, then I will die. And then the video is over. And this is what we don't want. We want to have nice and clean sounds. And of course, if you want to add some overdrive, add overdrive, but keep it under control. I don't want to see this kind of spikes in a frequency spectrum. It's just not working like this. So of course I've changed the sound a lot now, but it was necessary in my opinion, and the artist did not complain, so I think it's okay. So it's just cleaning a little bit, rolling off here the low frequencies a little bit more. I think he has done this already, but just for safety reasons. Yeah, and that's it. And now we have return tracks. So we are not using A, we are not using B. So let's delete them. It's a little bit easier to see what is going on. So we now have just A and B. A is the drum room. I'm using a drum room on the drums. Yeah, here. And so let's listen to the drum room very quick. So A is a very small room. It's the drum room, the classic kind of drum room for percussions. And the B is the drum plate because as mentioned, there was a lot of reverb on the drums, and I've asked him to send me the drums dry, and I want to bring that reverb back. So we are using a drum plate, which is a little plate from Soundtoys to add this reverb which BLILI had before he sent me the track. So this is just an effect. It's not really mixing. It's just because I wanted to get this back, but I don't want to use his reverb. So this is what is going on the separate tracks. And then we have, of course, the master. So we have the FAB filter, which is taking down a little bit more of the stuff here. Let me check what this is doing. Also some harsh frequencies, which are just a tiny bit too loud in the mix. So in the end, for the mastering, it's better when they are a little bit quieter. Then we have the Gullfoss again, like the secret weapon. Let's check that one. So Gullfoss cleans the mix a little bit, but honestly, I've tried it now because it works. Like in the last 3 times, it was working perfect, like cheating. But especially, for example, for my tracks, it does not work. I've tried it on several tracks, it's just not working. It sounds worse when I use it. So be careful with just putting Gullfoss on the master and hoping everything is fine then. And then we have the ozone. And in the ozone we have the equalizer, where I did some correction, small correction, just 1 dB. Usually I do that when I look into the tonal balance control and I have some frequencies which are like peaking a little bit too much. Then I check it and then I take them down a lot, and then I listen, is it too much, isn't it? And then I bring it back until I have the feeling, this could be enough. And then this is what the result is after that. And then we have the imager. I'm just using to make the kick and the rumble and mono. And we have the dynamic EQ, which comes magically from the master assistant. And I've checked this now a few times. It's mostly always on the same spots, like 250, 320, and then there is some something here on the top end. This is, I don't know why Ozone is doing it like this, but it works. When you listen with and without it, it sounds just a little bit cleaner, better, and so it's perfect. And then we have the maximizer, which I usually use in transient mode, which is the mode which is not clipping, or not clipping that fast and that much. Pretty fast here, ceiling 0.3. Yeah, because to have some space for, like when you put it to SoundCloud, for example, and they convert it to MP3, the streaming at least, and so you have some digital artifacts and they are making it a little bit louder, so you don't want to get into above 0 dB, and this is why I took 0.3. So in the past, I did some experiments with that. I just converted tracks to different qualities or bit rates of MP3. And I found out that you should use usually 0.5, but I'm using 0.3 because it's also enough and it works most of the time. And this is the track. Hopefully you learned something. If you have any questions or any ideas, or if I did something totally wrong, hopefully not, then just write something in the comments. Let me know what you think about it. And now we are going to listen again to the track, and I will switch a little bit to before and after. So check out here on the right side, like if the one is active, then we are listening to the version he sent me, and if this is activated, then we are listening to the mastered version. Yeah, and to make this easier to compare, I have the Ozone in here with the same maximizer like on the mastered one, but just the Ozone, nothing more. So it's fair. I'm not using like a shitty limiter. I'm using the same one. And now we can start a little bit here, and hopefully you'll like it. Thank you. See you.